Hi everyone, our PPT theme is inspired by Squid Game. So now let's enjoy our short clip introduction.
Number 62, first elimination tonight.
They knew everything about us.
Who would do this?
Number 71 is eliminated. Number 14
They made these rooms for us. They're watching us. They know every move that we're making.
Do you want to see my face?
Good day, sir, and to my fellow classmates. We are Group 8 and I am Angeline M. Sumaoy.
I am General Bukon.
I'm John Chris Altanad.
And now, let's begin the game. Let's begin the discussion. So, our lesson for this day is about feelings as instinctive and trained response to moral dilemmas. Once again, I am Angeline M. Sumaoy, your first reporter. Now, let's discuss first what is philosophical insights on feelings. So what is philosophical? Philosophical meaning relating or devoted to the study of the fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence. Meaning, our connection between sa atong pag-study, sa basic nga nature of knowledge, sa kamatuuran o sa ato ang existence. And then what does it means insights? Insight is the understanding of a specific cause and effects in the specific context, while feelings is meaning our emotional state or our reactions. What does it means to feel philosophical? Well, according to vocabulary.com, it means to stay detached and thoughtful in the face of a setback or to approach a tough situation in a level-headed way. Next slide is all about the role and importance of feelings in moral decision making. Emotions, that is to say feelings and institutions. It's play a major role in most of the ethical decision people make, but experts think it is impossible to make any important moral judgments without emotions. Indirect negative emotions like guilt, embarrassment, and shame often motivate people to act ethically. So I agree what expert thinks about emotions, that it is impossible to make any important moral judgment without emotion. No, as a person, imposible gud kaayo nga mag moral judgment tang walay emotion, wa tay ka feel do kay murag sa kaday bato ka. So the point here is that every moral judgment we do, there is emotion on it. So, our number one player is David Hume, Char. Okay, it's all about Hume and the philosophy of the mind. So, David Hume, year 1711 to 1776. So, he is famously placed himself in opposition to most moral philosophers, ancient and modern. So, again, he is a philosopher, historian, economist, and essayist. And also, he argued to regulate actions using reasons, and that reasons domain over feelings or emotion. So our first game, our next topic is all about the four David Hume argues. So first one is reason alone cannot be a motivate to the will, but rather is the slave of the passion. Second, moral distinctions are not derived from reason. Third, moral distinctions are derived from the moral statements, meaning feelings of approval or esteem, praise, and disapproval or blame, felt by spectators who contemplate a character trait or actions. The last one, while some virtues are vice are natural, others including justice are artificial. That is according to Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy 2016. In addition to that, Hume maintained that although reason is needed to discover the facts of any concrete situation, reason alone is insufficient to yield a judgment that something is virtuous or vicious. It is according to Hume 2013 and also according to Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy year 2016. Hume cited with a moral sense theorist that a person gains awareness of moral good and evil by experiencing the pleasure of approval and the uneasiness of disapproval that is based on the book. According to Hume's theory of mind, humans have what he called passions, which he used to describe emotions or feelings. He further classified passions as direct and indirect. So the direct passions are caused directly by the sensation of pain or pleasure. The passion that arises immediately from good or evil, from pain or pleasure that we experience or expect to experience. For example, desire is a direct passion because it is an immediate response to the pleasure we expect to feel. Other direct passion include aversion, hope, fear, grief, and joy. It is also according to Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy year 2016 and Cohon 2010. While indirect passions are caused by the sensation of pain or pleasure derived from some other idea or impression. For example, pride is a passion that emanates from the pleasure you get from possessing something admirable. It could be intellect, physique, property, family, or etc. Pride is a result of the person, the object of the passion, and quality of the object. Other indirect passions are humility, ambition, vanity, love, hatred, envy, pity, malice, generosity. It is according to Blattner, year 2017. Hume also added that there are instances wherein passion can be unreasonable. He said this could happen when we make a mistake in judgment or our opinion is wrong. Strictly speaking, it is not passion that can be called unreasonable in these instances because it was the judgment or the opinion that was wrong in the first place. Once the judgment or opinion is corrected, passion yields to reason without any oppositions. That is according to Norton and Norton, year 2007.
Good day everyone, I am General Bucon and I will start to tackle Skeller and the philosophy of feelings. Max Ferdinand Skeller was an important German ethical philosopher distinguished for his contributions in phenomenology, ethics, and philosophical anthropology. In Max Ferdinand Skeller's philosophy, the emotion is the most important aspect in human existence. Skeller asserted that emotions or feelings are inherent, objective, and it exists even if you have not experienced it before. So he's basically trying to claim that emotions are existing as permanent, essential, or a characteristic attribute of human being. And for him, emotions are strict, exact, and objective. Skeller presented four strata of feelings. He claimed that these strata or levels are constant and it follows an exact order of importance. He called these levels of feelings as the stratification model of emotive life, and these are the sensual feelings, vital feelings, psychic feelings, and spiritual feelings. Sensual feelings involve bodily pleasures or pain which manifests in relative modes of joy and suffering. These feelings are shortest in duration and it also includes a tickle, an itch, hunger, thirst, etc. The second is vital feelings, which are the life functions, such as health, sickness, energy, fatigue, etc. Next is the psychic feelings that are about aesthetics, justice, and knowledge. It includes happiness, sadness, anger, jealousy, and the like. And the last one is the spiritual feelings, which deals with the divine. Difference between responses based on reason and in feelings. While Skeller claimed that feelings are exact and objective, on the opposite side of the discussion about the role of feelings in making moral decisions are those who argued on the use of reason over feelings. Philosopher and professor Dr. James Rachels asserted that in moral reasoning, you cannot rely on your feelings no matter how powerful these feelings may be. Feelings can be irrational and merely a product of your prejudice, selfishness, or cultural conditioning. The morally right thing to do is one that is supported by rational arguments. An argument is reasonable if the facts are correct, the moral principles are correctly applied, and each individual's well-being is treated equally important. What is the role of feelings in decision making? Reason plays a role in making a moral decision. Philosophers encourage the use of reason in making moral decisions. However, it should be noted too that our moral compasses are also powerfully influenced by feelings. Hume claimed that in any given situation, a person would act based on emotions rather than reason. For example, your teacher announced that there would be a long test next meeting. After school, you saw a classmate at the mall. You knew she was absent when your teacher announced the test. However, you did not go out of your way to inform her about the test. Why? No particular reason really. It could be that you just did not feel like telling her, or you were not that close anyway, or you just passed by each other and you barely had the time to talk. So if you would have acted based on reason, you'd would tell your classmate as it is the right and the reasonable thing to do. 20th century philosopher Alfred Jules Ayer described two elements in moral judgment, the emotive and the prescriptive elements. The emotive element in moral decisions meant expressing positive feelings towards a particular act. For example, kindness is good, in which you are trying to impose a positive feeling about the act of kindness by saying that it is good. And when you feel positively about an act, you do not only do the act, but you also feel this act should be encouraged that others may follow. And this is where the second element, prescriptive, comes in, such a saying, be kind to others. The prescriptive element, in a sense, is an instruction or prescription of a particular behavior. Why feelings can be obstacles to making the right decisions. There are three central features as to why emotions can be obstacles in making the right decisions. One, its non-deliberate nature. Second, its partial nature. And lastly, its capricious. So let us first tackle the non-deliberate nature of feelings. Deliberate means that the act was intentional, planned with conscious effort. Non-deliberate is the contrary term that denotes spontaneous actions. It is doing something without thinking through. Common excuse for doing an undesirable act was being overcome by emotions, thereby saying, I couldn't help myself, I totally blanked out, I felt overwhelmed, I don't know, I just felt like doing it. Under this characterization, emotions are no different from mindless, automatic reflex. Philosopher Aaron Ben-Sieve summarized the non-deliberate nature of feelings as follows. Number 1, responsibility entails free choice. If we are not free to behave in a certain manner, then we are not responsible for this behavior. Number 2, free choice entails an intellectual deliberation in which alternatives are considered and the best one is chosen. Without such consideration, we clearly cannot understand the possible alternatives and are not responsible for preparing one of them. And lastly, since intellectual deliberation is absent from emotions, we cannot be responsible for emotions.
Good morning, everyone. I'm John Chris Altanag, and I'll be. You're crying shoulder. Bitaw, char lang. So, I'll be the one to continue the topic about the three features as to why emotion can be obstacle in making the right decision. So, we are done with the first one, which is it is non-deliberative. Let's proceed to the second one, which is its partial nature of feeling. The partial nature of feeling. The second problem with our emotion is that our emotion known to play favorites. It's like si Marites gusto jud siya og tall, dark, and handsome. So, ayun, naging matandang dalaga si Marites, so don't be like Marites. And also in partial nature of feeling, it operates on a principle called the law of concern. It is where feeling and emotion give focus only on matter of personal interest. However, emotions are quiet when it is of no personal concern. It's like ginawa ka lang panakip butas. Kung nakuha na niya ang iyang gusto, ayun, iiwan ka lang.
Kung wala ka nang maintindihan, kung wala ka nang makapitan, kapit ka sa akin, kapit ka sa akin.
Sure lang, bitaw. Take this as an example for the law of concern. Imagine that naglinog and there are a lot of victims. The sorrow that you will feel for the earthquake victims from other country is nowhere near the level of sorrow that you will feel if you were, I mean, if your family were the victims. Of course, our intention or concern will really focus on our family, di ba? And as you can observe in the example, it's really evident that emotion give focus only on matter of personal interest or what concerns us. The partial nature of feeling has two aspects. First one is that decision based on feeling focused on a narrow area. When we say narrow area, it means that it is straight or mura bitaw siya og bridge na isa lang agian or diretso lang. Example of this first aspect is that the feeling of being in love. Sana all in love. Sana all double. Char. So, in romantic stories, this type of love portrayed as spending almost every waking moments thinking about the person you are in love with. And everything else is just a happy blur. So, the narrow area of focus is more evident when you and your girlfriend or boyfriend are not in good terms. So, worst case, nabulag. So, you cannot think anything else but the end of your romance. And you became overwhelmed with sadness and despair. In this narrow focus state, you cannot think of anything else kay, of course, imong mind is focused lang sa inyong breakup. And it really affects your decision making. Like, unsay unahon imong akads ba or kaning breakup or anything else. I didn't experience breaking up. However, I do believe that it really hurts. So, I don't want to go further with this chika. So, let's proceed to the third feature. It is the capricious nature of feelings. The third problem with our emotion is that it rises up for arbitrary reasons. It's where we act or decide bitaw without any reasons or plan. Like, naka-try naman ng kalit lang kag kasuko sa isa ka tao knowing that wala siya gibuhat sa imo. Other example is that you did not give money to an old beggar asking for alms or limos in Tagalog simply because he or she tagged your shirt or gibira bita imong shirt and startled you. Means nashock ka. Psychologists have long acknowledged that emotions serve as a red flag. Emotion signals that something is happening and that it needs attention, according to Arnold 1960. Oftentimes, you get the feeling that something is wrong when you make an incorrect judgment. It's like red light and green light in the movie Squid Game. In red light, we need to stop moving. If we don't, the doll will eliminate us in the game. The red flag aspect in emotion really help us in making better decision because it signals the need to adjust behavior or action. The second way that feeling, especially negative feeling, help us in making the right decision is that it can help us learn from our mistakes. Did you know that studies have shown that negative feelings are integral to our ability to learn? And also the surge of negative emotion trigger a counterfactual thinking according to Smallman and Lucy 2009. By the way, what is counterfactual thinking? A counterfactual thinking is a psychological concept about the human tendency to create possible or alternative scenario other than what had actually happened. So, take this as an example. The feeling of disappointment. Naka-experience na mo na bitaw ka ng mo-replay lang kalit sa inyong hunahuna inyong gibuhat where na-disappoint ka ato. So, makauna jud ka na ala mo tani akong gibuhat, I can do better, kanyan ta akong gibuhat ana bitaw. So by this thinking, it could help us to realize something, and also it help us to learn from our mistakes, and also in making the right decision. Lastly, the third way that feeling, especially negative feeling, help us in making the right decision is that emotional responses can be shaped as time passes by. The idea that behavior can be changed is a hallmark in psychology. What is important, however, is the idea that emotional responses can be deliberately altered. The psychological state of mindfulness, where you give active and open attention to personal thoughts and feelings, shows that with some effort, emotional reaction can be brought in accord with your belief and goals. Emotions are powerful and unavoidable, right? And also upsurge or the rise of our feeling is natural. However, it should not control behavior, nor should it prevent reason. What we do with our feelings is what we make as ethical or unethical. That ends our report. Thank you for listening and hope you learned something. Adelante,
Adelante,
Liceo.
Liceo.